Welcome back to another BCSN conversation. Joining us today from St. Louis, Missouri, Harris-Stowe State University. And Coach, I'm going to say this. Forgive me if I accidentally say Harris-Stowe State College because that's what it was when I was living in St. Louis. But Harris-Stowe State University, men's basketball head coach Brion Dunlap. He's in his 5th season at Harris-Stowe. 81 and 46 over those 5 seasons, including 23 and 9 last year, 15 and 7 in conference, and winner of the conference tournament last year. So, first of all, Coach, how's everything going? How's the family? How's everything on campus for you guys?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. Everything's been going, relatively smooth considering. Everyone's healthy. That's the main thing for sure. We're trying to stay within our protocol and what we're doing from the COVID standpoint of things. Our guys have been really receptive of what the university has in place and trying to maintain our safety, and not only ours, but the other student athletes and the other student body and administration as well. So we've been good with that. It's been weird though, just for the simple fact that we haven't had we've tried to break down practices a little bit differently, simply because we had such a layoff, being our last game, being a championship game back in March, and then guys being away from being able to really do live stuff from like 5 to 6 months. So we kind of had to change our focus in practice, not go so many days in a row, give them more breaks to understand it was going to take a little while to get their legs back and get back into playing basketball. So that's been something that we've been trying to deal with on a daily basis, and no different than we say play one possession at a time. We do the same thing about take each day, play one day at a time. Let's make sure we stay sanitized, keep our hygiene, be mindful of what's been going on with the pandemic so we can get to tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. And for those, a lot of people don't realize, yes, Harris-Stowe is an HBCU.
Yes, sir.
There are 2 HBCUs in the state of Missouri, Harris-Stowe, which is in St. Louis, the other Lincoln University, Lincoln of Missouri, and Jefferson City, Missouri. But Harris-Stowe and Lincoln are forgotten about a lot of times because they don't play in the traditional HBCU conferences. They play in just historically white conferences. But that's just a sidebar, kind of right there, Coach. First of all, let's talk about last year.
Mm-hmm.
Great season last year. Like I said, you finished 23 and 9, winners of your conference tournament. But I know there has to be some empty feeling from last year because you did not get an opportunity, even though, and I don't have it in front of me, I know you finished to number 24 overall in the NAIA. Don't remember where you guys were seated at going into the tournament specifically, but I know you had a pretty good draw, at least in that opening round. Talk about that disappointment of not being able to finish it off and win or lose it on the court, as we're traditionally used to seeing when it comes to athletics.
Well, we were slotted a 6th seed in our bracket, which was the highest seed that we've attained since I've been here, which was great. That shows the progression of our program and what we've been able to do. Also, the emptiness came more so from having to have that meeting with our guys. I remember we had the selection show on a Wednesday night, and then the next day it was to talk about maybe the tournament not being played, but we weren't sure, so it was still up in the air. We were going to have practice, and then just bringing the guys in and having that meeting with those seniors, and not only just the seniors, but with the entire team, and just seeing their devastation and having to convey to them that season's over. It hurt, it was painful. And I know those guys wanted it so bad and they had worked so hard. And at that time, the way that we had been playing, we felt uber confident of how well we could possibly do in the tournament and make a long run with the personnel that we had. And not only that, but the way we were playing and how we felt about each other as a group. So we do feel in a sense that, the what if was taken away from us. Could we have made a run to the national championship? We honestly feel that we could have. We would have liked to have had the opportunity to see that, but we understood during the pandemic, like, decisions had to be made. And unfortunately, tough decisions were made, and our guys had to receive that information. And for them, they took it as well as you could possibly take it, I guess, in that situation. And I just tried to reiterate to them the hard work that they did, that the one thing they couldn't take from us was the fact that we were still champions, and they were going to be champions not only for that day, but for the rest of their lives. So we tried to just make sure we honed in on that piece and make it, try to spin it as positively as we possibly could during that moment.
What would it have been to you traveling the 240 miles west down I-70? Because for those who don't know, the NAIA Tournament is held in Kansas City. And yes, to most people, those are the only two cities in the state any doggone way. But just to travel the 240 miles west to KC to compete, what would that have been, keeping it in the state?
Yeah, it would have been a humongous feat again. Like I said, last year was my fourth year, so last year was my our third championship, I should say, that we've been able to bring here to Harris-Stowe in the 4 years that I've been here as a head coach. So this would have been our third time going to Kansas City, going down that road, and having a chance to play in the national tournament. The first two times, we unfortunately came up short in the first round game, but we knew with this group that we could hopefully exceed those expectations and get out of the first round, and like I said, make a run for the national championship. So it was something. It's always a goal that we have every year to win our conference championship, win the regular season championship, and then give ourselves an opportunity to play in the national tournament, because anything goes in that setting. So that's always been our goal since day one, since I've gotten here. So, and we've been blessed enough to have, like I said, won 3 championships in 4 years. So that's put us in position to do those things. And with it being the last year of being split up Division I to Division II in NAIA, that would have been a special season as well, because now it's all one division. It's all one division in NAIA, which brings on more competition, which is great. Brings on different faces that you haven't possibly played against or seen. It's going to make the national tournament a little bit different. We have a regional tournament before you go to the national tournament. So it's going to be an interesting year, as long as we can continue to move forward within the year due to the pandemic.
Last thing we're going to talk about with last year's team. And those are going to be the guys who were on last year's team who won't be there this year. You lost a couple of key players due to natural matriculation, graduation, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll just go list a couple of them for you. Dwayne Clark, who happened to be second team all conference last year. Maurice Smith, who was on the all academic team last year, and Romeo Bowie. So just kind of talk about those guys and any other key guys who have left the program due to graduation, matriculation, transfer, and how they're going to be missed.
Well, Dwayne was a huge piece, just for the simple fact he was our anchor on the back end, offensively and defensively. He was a former Division I transfer, local St. Louis guy. He brought a lot of passion to the game. Sometimes it was misunderstood, but he brought a lot of passion. Currently, he's in the midst of hopefully, during the pandemic, having a chance to go play professionally overseas. That's something that he set out he wanted to do when he first became a student athlete and played on collegiate ranks, and he's having that opportunity in front of him. Maurice was a huge loss for two reasons. One, his versatility. Two, he was a very intelligent player. But the other piece was Maurice was actually granted a waiver to be able to have an opportunity to have a year back and come back and play this year. But due to everything that was going on, he chose a different path, so that hurt us. But we all wish all of them well. Romeo was a huge piece as well because he was just another senior with another voice. He stepped up big for us in different times. We could play him in different positions as well. His versatility was huge. He made big plays, and he wasn't afraid to make big shots. Another player we lost was Emmanuel Primer. He came off the bench. He had a solid role for us. He made shots for us. He's one of our better perimeter defenders, and he brought a toughness to us as well. So those guys that we lost off the team, we have to make up for those guys in a variety of different ways, from small to big, literally and figuratively. But we think we will have the opportunity to do that. But they were a huge piece of our success. With Dwayne being with us for 2 years and Romeo being with us for 2 years, Maurice was with us for 1 year, which was last year, as well as Emmanuel. But what they brought to the table was a lot of versatility and as well as toughness, and just having that senior leadership, whether it was vocal or by example, but just being an older person with an older body and being able to go through some of the things they've been through to work through adversity helped us out a great deal as well.
All right. We're talking with Harris-Stowe State University head coach Brion Dunlap of the Harris-Stowe State Hornets, correct? Is it Hornets or Yellow Jackets?
It's the Hornets. Yes, sir.
Hornets. Okay. I been gone from home too long. Full disclosure, I am from St. Louis, Missouri. Grew up looking at the old campus. That campus has grown tremendously since my days as a teenager in St. Louis. So we're going to talk about some of the key players for this year's team. And I'm going to save one. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about some of the other players first, because we could probably talk about that particular player the remainder of this interview.
Right.
Nick McKenzie, who was honorable mention all conference last year. Wesley Anderson, who was on the all academic team also last year. A couple key players. Talk about them and any other key players that are going to be key into your rotation for this year.
Well, Nick was a huge piece for us. He's a shot maker, and he's another one that's not afraid to take shots. And the one thing that I enjoyed from Nick this upcoming season, he came to me and he said to coach, I want to be on a member of the all defensive team. So he wants to take pride in that side of the ball, which is great. I love guys who want to defend and want to be out there and try to stop the opposing team. And he's brought on that challenge onto himself. And every day I make sure that he knows, like, hey, this is what you said to me. You want to be all defensive team. Let's continue to work in that avenue and that part. And the other thing he does, Nick has a tremendous work ethic. He's always in the gym and he's always trying to get better. And I appreciate that part of him, and that can be contagious throughout the team for sure. Wes is just calm, cool, and collected. He's so poised and has so much composure. Sometimes it's almost to a default at times because you don't think he's going as hard, but he is, because he's just playing at his own pace. I think down the road, about 15 years, when he's playing in the YMCA, he's going to be a great old man in the league just because his pace is never going to change. But he's a shot maker for us as well. But he brings a high IQ to our team and a calmness to our team that we definitely was able to use last year as well. And he's done that again. We'll do that again for us this year. Another player, El Malik Martin. He played sparingly throughout the year last year in different roles, different capacity. But he's one of our better playmakers on the team. For him, it's just as long as he just understands that less is more, like, he'll be a huge contributor for us going forward with this year's team. And then we have some other additional pieces that we're waiting to get into the fold, that once we get our whole team together in our collective group, that I think we have a chance to be pretty special and have a special year as well, as long as we can continue to have a season.
What's some of the newcomers, be it by transfer or be it freshmen that that we need to keep an eye on for you guys this year?
Well, Malik Anderson, he's actually Wes's brother. Malik is a big time shooter, but not only just a shooter, he's a big time basketball player. Like Wes, he's a very high IQ, and like Wes as well, he plays at a pace that you think he's not going super hard, but he gets it done. But like I say, he's a big time shooter and a player as well. And then one player I forgot about as well that returning is Jamar Joseph. You know, he helped us out a lot down the stretch. He didn't get a lot of playing time throughout the early portion of the year, but he stuck with it. He kept working on his game, and then he made big plays throughout the course of the year. So I call him kind of like a newcomer because he didn't get the amount of time that he probably wanted early in the season, but later part of the season, he was a huge piece. So, I think he's going to be another piece that's going to be helpful for us as well.
All right. Now the elephant in the room when it comes to your players, Deshaun Munson, Mr. Everything when it comes to NAIA and the conference. And let me go down the list because I had to write all this stuff down because I couldn't remember all this stuff off the top of my head. NAIA, he was first team all NAIA, Player of the Year in the conference, Newcomer of the Year in the conference. First team all conference, and he was on the all conference defensive team also. So not only can he score, but he can lock you up too.
Don't say that too loud. Don't say that too loud.
And you guys have already played 2 games this year. He started off this year with Player of the Week honors, averaging 42 points, 14 and a half rebounds, and 6.5 assists. Yeah. Including a career high 51, unfortunately in a loss for you guys, but 51 is 51. I don't care how you get it and on what level that you get it. 51 is still 51. Right, talk about Deshaun Munson for us.
Well, I'll say this: he's been blessed by the man above. He's a special talent for sure. The one thing that is probably underrated about Deshaun is the fact that he has such a high basketball IQ. He understands what opponents are trying to do to him to affect him, and he finds a way to counter and adjust just within the midst of the game, within the midst of possession, not only just from us helping him, but also him figuring it out on his own. And he does that as well, and he tries to, throughout the course of the game, help his teammates with that part as well of how teams are defending him so they can have a chance to be successful too. So like I said, he's been a blessing to be able to coach, just because someone with his talent and his skill set, sometimes people can't reach those type of players. And we've had our moments, but he's very coachable. Like, even though you may not think he's hearing you, he's listening to you and he's absorbing it, and he's going to apply it when the opportunity presents itself. But he, like I say, he's a very special talent, and we're lucky to have him, and we're blessed to have him. And I know that his teammates have worked hard for themselves to become better. He's worked hard for himself to become better, so then we all can become better together. And that's been the best thing as well. He's just so competitive. He wants to win. He wants to win, and he wants his teammates to be good as well, to the point that sometimes it's at a fault. Like, he'll make plays or they'll make plays, and if he misses a shot, then he'll get on himself. Or if they miss a shot and he wants them to make it so bad, I'm like, listen, we got to continue to help each other out. Just continue to feed each other on both ways and every way possible, in practice and in games and off the court as well, and we'll be fine. But he's been a joy to coach. I don't get into watching him. I know sometimes, coaches, when they have special talents like that, they get into watching them. I don't. When he makes a big time play in practice or the game, I just tell him he's not any good. I was like, "You're not any good." So what? I've seen that before. Just so just to play it
Keep them
off.
humble.
But I mean, he does some things that um that you don't get to see every day. But we're blessed enough to see it every day.
All right. Uh, we're the HBCU Sports Show, so I will ask you to quickly talk about your schedule. But since we are HBCU Sports Show, I've got to bring up the one HBCU that you do have on your schedule, Philander Smith.
Yes, sir.
You guys, because of where you are geographically and your conference, you don't get a chance to play too many HBCU. So
Hmm.
just talk about how special that particular matchup is between the two HBCUs for you guys.
Well, I enjoy us playing other HBCUs. I also enjoy us traveling to play at other HBCU venues, just for the simple fact that our guys can see, take a snapshot and take a picture of not only our university but other HBCUs as well. So it's fun. It's always fun when you're playing against another HBCU, um, just because each team will bring their own tradition, so to speak. And they're going to carry that banter with them when they're playing, because they know what they're representing when they step on that court each and every time. No different than last year when we played Lincoln in the Show Me State Classic. It was a heck of a game. Came down to the wire. Both teams fought hard. Both teams played extremely hard. A lot of plays were made throughout. So, and then the atmosphere was just so. It was so, as the kids say, it was so lit. So it was just fun to be a part of. And every game that we've had opportunity to play another HBCU, those games have been very fun just to be a part of and be involved in.
And just so people know, you used to coach. You were assistant coach at Winston Salem, which
Yes,
is
sir.
another one of our HBCUs in the all competitive basketball conference called the CIAA.
Hmm.
And you went to school at Old Dominion, which is across the street, down the road from Norfolk State. So I got to ask you, nobody's listening to us right now. Tell us the truth, Coach. How much time did you spend on Norfolk State campus instead of your own?
So we 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 were at the 7-Eleven right there on the corner a lot, during the Norfolk State days and going to the concerts and things over there. And not to mention, we were just 15 minutes down the road through the tunnel from Hampton University as well.
That
So,
is true.
and at that time, Norfolk State sometimes would play football games on our campus at our stadium.
Right,
So
before they
whenever
had their own stadium.
Yeah, so whenever they had their home football games, we were there, right there in the crowd, like in the Norfolk State crowd. And then the
So you
same thing
cheated
with,
and got you a little bit of HBCU experience as an
oh
undergrad.
yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. I did. Yeah, I mean, it was right there in our reach. So we went and we became a part of it, and we enjoyed our time over at Norfolk State as well as at Hampton. And then every once in a while, I made it back to one HU Howard homecoming, because I'm originally from the DMV. So I got a little bit of everything. And then my mom and family went to Winston-Salem State as undergrad. So I had gone to those homecomings many of times. So I've had my taste of the pie for sure.
All right. We're going to get you out of here on these last couple of points. First of all, Coach, I always like to yield the floor to whoever I'm interviewing at the end. Whatever you need to get off your chest, whatever I did ask you that you want to get out, the time is yours, the floor is yours. Please speak.
Well, the main thing is, like I said before to begin, I appreciate the opportunity. I thank you for having me on, allowing myself to talk a little bit about Harris-Stowe and our university. Our main thing is to continue to try to make this small school big and broaden the horizon and put us on the map. I remember the first year that excuse me, sorry about that. I remember the first year when I came here. Um, Like I was at a grocery store and I had on a Harris-Stowe t-shirt, and someone asked me, where was that? And I'm like, it's down the road.
Well,
It's
you
right
on
across the
Grand or
street.
something?
I was close by the school.
All
And
right.
I was like, it's down the road. It's right across the street from St. Louis University. And they had no idea, and they had been here forever. And
And,
so,
and they literally bump up to each other now.
yes, I mean, we had an exhibition versus SLU my second year. We walked across the street to the game. Like we
Yeah.
walked. We didn't get in no vans, nothing. We just walked and had the game. And so, you know, that's the other piece, is trying to get our name of the school out there, our brand out there, and to let people know that our student athletes, they come here, they work hard, just like other student athletes, other universities, and they're very prideful, and they take pride in what we have been able to accomplish here in the short term. But not only just from a basketball standpoint, but also trying to put our other parts of the school, our other parts of the athletic department on the map as well, so we can attract more and more people here just to take a look at the small school right here in St. Louis, the small HBCU in St. Louis that's making big things happen. So like I said, I appreciate you having me on and giving me this platform and allowing me to talk about my guys and having us a chance to broaden our horizon of the school.
All right, Coach. How do we get in touch with you if we've got a player that we feel that you need to put on your radar to look at? If we want to follow Harris-Stowe Athletics, and most importantly, if we want to send a check to support Harris-Stowe Athletics, give us all that information. Where do we need to log on to for all that stuff?
So if you go to www.hssu.edu/athletics, and it'll take you straight to our athletic web page as well. You go in there, click on men's basketball. My email is my first initial B, my last name Dunlap, DUNLAP, @hssu.edu. So if you want to send me an email about a player, if you want to send me an email, we can come chop it up and talk about funds to the university. Let me know, and we can make that happen as well. More than welcome. But we want any and everybody who want to be a part or know about the part of what we got going on in our history of the university and our history of our programs to ask the questions, and we'll be willing to answer them for sure.
All right, Coach. Well, we thank you for your time. We appreciate you, and for Harris-Stowe State University, and I have to slow down when I say that because I so much want to say State College, but Harris-Stowe State University, Hornets men's head coach Brion Dunlap. This is AD Drew of the Black College Sports Network, and we thank you all for joining us for this HBCU conversation.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1. Our podcast you can find everywhere you listen to podcasts. Just do a search for BCSN SportsWrap. You can also find many of our shows on YouTube at MyJBN online, at BCSN SportsWrap on Facebook as well. Go download the app, Jericho Broadcast Network app. Search MyJBN or MyBCSN on Google Play Store or iTunes Store. That's where you can download the app.
Major.